right away, the property increased $250,000 within 2 years. It was amazing. And then Halliburton pulled out of the area of where it was fracking and around the mesas, and he now has a house that's worth $100,000. Can't sell it. It's a bust town, you know? And so I was really concerned, a bust town. It went boom, then it went bust. And I was really concerned about that. And this was 15 miles from him. But he's an engineer, so he was in a totally unrelated industry. But it affected the community and the complexion of the community and the livelihood of the community of Grand Junction. It was a roller coaster ride for them. And so I went ahead and did a lot of research. I teach at Grand Valley, and I like to research. So I looked at a lot of legal reviews, peer-reviewed studies regarding property values. I'm concerned. My husband and I picked Township because of its beauty. It's scenic. It has the picnic pops, it has skiing, it has trails, lakes, rivers, streams. It's gorgeous. The hedonic value of it is very high, right? The scenic value is very high. And it's quiet. We go for walks around Pickle Lake, we go snowshoeing. And when I heard that you thought about maybe making this into a sort of, or not them, but not you, but someone into leasing land, I became very concerned. So I have some research, and I'll just briefly go over the summary of it. And I actually have full reports with all of the sources that are everywhere from, government, newspaper, peer-reviewed journals, all kinds of things. It's a very complex issue as to whether or not it would affect our property values. But overall property values do tend to go up temporarily, like in the case of my brother. But it's pretty certain that those within an approximate 1 mile radius will see their values go down significantly. The entire community may see their values change in either way, but much depends on this. So the first factor is the hedonic value. The more hedonic value a property or community already has, the more it has to lose, like us. So for instance, properties within a 5 mile radius of horizontal hydraulic fracturing wells in more desolate or unattractive areas, no offense to Oklahoma or Texas, but they saw little change in the values. In fact, many property owners in these sort of ranching areas or plains areas, they saw, even one-family homes, they saw their values go up a lot. But those in scenic, forested, or rural areas of Pennsylvania and New York, with hedonic features such as lakes, rivers, trails, parks, forests, and outdoor tourism, such as color tours, skiing, hiking, hunting, cottages, fishing, and summer camps, will experience precipitous drops in property value of about 20% community-wide, and it doesn't rebound. So the lessee's property, those that have leased to gas and oil, it does increase temporarily, but with increased insurance, loss of autonomy, loss of aesthetic value, and oftentimes losing lenders, which is on a different section we're going to talk about, may eventually offset any value gains. So the second factor is groundwater depletion or contamination fears. Now notice I'm not saying groundwater contamination or groundwater depletion, but the fears of it. So when one does not factor in the hedonic values or the effects on the community, properties with private well water suffer a loss in value compared to properties connected to municipal water systems, offsetting the gains in value from mineral rights royalties. So properties like mine, I'm on Bella Vista water. I'm probably not going to see any problem unless there's someone north of us. But someone within a 1 mile, or well, actually it says 1.5 kilometer, 1 kilometer around a fracking pad, if you have well water, you will experience 22% of a value change, lower of your value. It will be down 22%. And this was conducted a study by Duke University, and it was just released last year, and they looked at New York and Pennsylvania in these rural areas, and they looked at it from 1995 to 2013. And it was pretty certain that you will have, if you're within 1 mile or 1 kilometer of a frac pad, 22% loss if you have well water. If you don't, then it isn't as bad. If you're within 1.5 kilometers, it's about 10% loss. And again, you have to have well water to have a loss. The third factor is the reputation and attractiveness of a community. It suffers. When the zoning changes, it moves from a bedroom community or a destination community to an area known as an industrial mining area. So whether unfounded or not, fears of earthquakes, groundwater depletion, groundwater contamination, noise pollution, and traffic will keep buyers and investors away. The exception to this is speculators who will scoop up the land that they have no intention of preserving or developing, appropriately developing. A community quickly loses its identity as a neighborly place to get outdoors to a desperate boom town. The likelihood of Cannon Township being a boom town like my brother's town is slim, but what can happen is that many people move from out of state to live in rental units, and this is just temporary, and it has a positive impact on the economy. I've always said it's really good for the economy. You bring in a lot of jobs. Your brewery would probably be really hopping. It would be hopping. And it had a positive impact on retail sales, goods, services, but there's often a strain on municipal services, such as fire, police, and traffic control. Schools, hospitals, and community centers are often overwhelmed, and small township boards like yours are overwhelmed with new headaches of regulations and ordinances, disturbances of public events like picnic pops, and festivals such as the Isaac Walton Ice Festival, things like that, or Winter Festival, felt like Ice Festival last year, and complaints regarding property values and liabilities. Then, after the gas and auto companies pull out of a community, it is left with shuttered businesses, unusable, unattractive land, and fewer stable residents, as many live in the community. And in conclusion, many people who choose Canyon Township want to live in a beautiful, peaceful, natural setting, and opening up industrial excavation would drastically alter the existing property values and the essence of our community as a scenic and enjoyable place to live, to quote our website. And it also affects our mortgages and whether we can get loans, but I'm not going to go into that.
I just want to make sure there's not a misconception here. You know we're not promoting this, right?
Right. Yeah, I know that.
Can I mean that seriously?
Right. But I'm like, I don't even, to live
See, because here's our problem that we wrestled with. We could either do nothing and let the state do its thing, because the state very clearly, through statute since 1939, has said, hands off oil and gas permitting. It's up to the state and the DEQ to do it. We can't do anything really with regard to the permitting process, as far as granting permits or not.
Right.
I don't think, and I may be wrong, but I don't think there's anybody on this board that is real gung-ho for drilling, right? I think it's quite the opposite. We are not, there's no desire on this board, in fact, we would fight it, that if this did start happening, which I don't think it will, just because I don't think the oil and gas is in there, the gas is in where they, from what we've seen, it's not a real high probability that there's going to be a massive amount of drilling around here. There's just not the gas under the ground around here, right? There are over in some parts of the state, right, Julie? There's more pockets where they're looking at it more seriously. But everybody needs to rest assured that if it does come here, and we'll get into this in a little while when we talk about these ordinances, Cannon Township is not going to do anything that would negatively affect what you call, which I think is an apt description, the hedonic nature of our township. We're not going to, just because somebody comes in and wants to drill and they say, we want, high density housing, it's not going to happen. There's nothing going to change. In fact, we will be very strict with any regulations that we can with regard to that operation, which we'll get into in a minute. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that by doing this, we are actually trying to make it more difficult or make them more accountable for what they do. We can't stop them. If the state says they can do it, they can do it. And that's our problem. I wish the state would say, hey, townships, it's yours.